Welcome back to the Out of the Rough podcast presented by We Know Fantasy. As always, my name is Nate with We Know Fantasy, and joining me as always is my co-host Jake. Jake, how we do today?
We're doing good, Nate. We're doing good. Definitely an exciting finish on the PGA Tour with a three-man playoff. None of us, the two of us, didn't have too much stake in it, but I'm happy for Aldrich. We had a couple people in the Discord tip him, so shameless plug there. Join. 100 to 1 tickets. It felt like he deserved it. I was very happy to see him get over the finish line, so that was cool. And then disappointing finish for me on the DP World Tour with Kuvra just kind of laying an egg on Sunday, but. Uh, Another deserving win. It felt like the win was coming for Sadier, and he got it done. So no repeat winner on the DP World Tour yet, and that streak continues.
Yeah, little disappointing because Sadair has been the guy who's taken the most money from me on the DP World Tour this season. I've bet him more than anyone so far. He's come close. I think it was Singapore where he had a chance in the final day, if I remember correctly. But yeah, deservingly so there, a veteran of that tour. And, Kuvra and Shakar are two of the young premier talents of that tour. And they showed it on Sunday there with both falling apart. Both had the tournament. Well, didn't have the tournament, but they both very well could have won that tournament. But that just shows that, what are they both, 25, somewhere around there? Still really young in their golf career. So, learning moment for them, of course. Kuvra and Shakar both winners of the DP World Tour so far this season. So it's like they haven't been there, but it was interesting one there and back to the PGA Tour. A fun finish, right? We like to see playoffs. And Max Grayson had about 35 opportunities to win that golf tournament and missed every single putt. On the 4 or 5 playoff holes, he could have won that a ton of times over. But I thought Aldrich was gonna lose it again, right? Just as he did in
Yeah.
Mexico. But got it done that time with a good putt to finish it off, and deservedly so. We'll move on here, and again, nothing to report on our end in terms of hitting tickets. I'm going pretty dry here for a bit, Jake. So hopefully we can turn things around this week and find ourselves a winner on the PGA Tour or DP World Tour. We are at the John Deere Classic, basically an all-field event at this point, right? Head to
Yeah.
Scotland next week for the co-sanctioned event with the DP World Tour, and then head to the final major of the season 2 weeks time. Then the playoffs are right there, and the season's a wrap at that point. But yeah, DP World Tour, BMW International Open as well. We'll talk about both those events here shortly. Before we do, though, Jake, we'll be finding you on social media.
Yep, you can find me at the Jake Friedman on Twitter. Both my DP World Tour and PGA cards are now posted, so be sure to check those out. Also, be sure to check out our Discord, completely free to join. No hidden paywalls once you're in there. Just hit me or Nate up for the link. Once you're in there, you have access to everything. We have a great group of people in there talking about PGA Tour. I post some exclusive matchups. Nate posts exclusive tour cards and first round leaders, which, Nate, you've been pretty solid with the first round leaders, so that is definitely been good there. Also, we have NASCAR with Devin and Cody. That's a great channel too. Definitely very lively on race day. So definitely be sure to join. And yeah, just a great free resource at your fingertips.
Yeah, we can't reiterate that enough. Free, completely free, no hidden paywalls, a ton of great content. Not only our information there, there's 260, 70 people in there at this point, active 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop. We have community trackers I track everyone's bets, tell each other across the finish line. We have a new scoring system in there, a little fun banter system. You mentioned it, some exclusive content along the way. So why not at least check it out and see what there is to offer in there? You can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKF Nate. Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media at We Know Fantasy. Be sure to visit WeKnowFantasy.com for some more fantasy sports content. If it's baseball, basketball, football, NASCAR, golf, everything in between, we have you covered. On there, you can find my PGA Tour, DP World Tour, LPGA Majors, Out of the Rough article series on the PGA Tour. If you're looking for DFS content, that's where I post that. Where I really go in depth each and every week of those 3 tours. I'm going to start posting full length live articles and trying to do LPGA weekly if time allows. We'll see how that goes. Of course, they're off this week with the fourth of their 5 majors next week in France. I was scrambling this morning, Jake, because I thought it was this week. And I was like, holy crap, there's so much golf content to do this week, and I don't know if I have time. But I'm some free time because it's next week. If you're looking for a quick preview, though, I do have that up there without the betting card because I thought it was this week as well. So be sure to check that out. Of course, on there as well, you can find the one and done. You can find strokes gained putting per grass type. There's a lot of great information on that website. So be sure to check it out. Of course, almost forgot to mention, we have Andrew All Tour Golf Bets with his Corn Ferry Tour Hotel Planet Tour previews on there. I think Craig plans to have the LET Scottish event, the name's eluding me, article up this week on there as well. So, yeah, a lot of great golf content each and every way on that website. All right, Jake, let's talk about the John Deere Classic. And I guess we're kind of forced to, right? In
Yep.
doing what we do. It's
Every
it's
year.
a it's a it's a natural bye week, right? Because most of the tour is either taking a bye week or taking the week off or heading overseas to get accommodated with things with the Scottish Open next week and of course the Open Championship in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, we're still in the Midwest in Illinois, Silvis, Illinois. And I say, there is not another event or course on the PGA Tour schedule that's like this event for the better or the worse. Um, yeah, so the field this week, it's lacking. We have Ben Griffin leading the charge as the odds-on favorite, highest of the OWGR at 17. You got Sun Im 25 on the OWGR, and that's it in terms of top 25 golfers. In terms of top 50 golfers, there's six of them, I think, along with those two. Jason Day at 28, JT Poston 41, Denny McCarthy 43, and then Lucas Glover at 45, and that's it. Davis Thompson, of course, defending champion as he cruised to a four-stroke victory last season. Jake, if I remember correctly, that was the last time you and I had a crossover winner.
Yeah,
I
and
think it
that
was,
was a very heavily tipped winner too. So a lot of Twitter had it.
yeah, I think it was 40 or 45, 50, even somewhere around that range. But yeah, and in doing so, he broke the tournament scoring record at minus 28, previously held at minus 27 by, uh, who was it? Michael Kim, I believe.
Yep.
Other
That
former
sounds right.
winners. Yeah,
Yep.
it's in this article somewhere. Either way, former winners, we have JT Poston 22, Glover 21, Dylan Fratelli 2019, Michael Kim, there it is, 18, Zach Johnson in 12, and Jonathan Beard back in 2007. Excuse me, man. For those in visual content, I apologize because I don't know how to edit that yet. But either way, TPC Deer Run has been the host of this event since 2000. It was designed by D.A. Weinbring and comes in at 7,258 yards and a par 71. We can expect another birdie fest this week. If you enjoyed what we saw last week, you're getting that again this week. Again, the typical winning score is in the minus 20s, high minus 20s, occasionally, as well as we saw with Davis Thompson at minus 28 a season ago. Of course, Michael Kim had a minus 27 a few years back. It goes without saying, this is not a challenging track whatsoever, despite the fact there is the presence of undulating fairways, steep elevation changes, and tight dog legs. Due to this, golfers are required to use every club in the bag. There will be a premium on ball strike in short game, more than a typical birdie fest. Usually we see like a bomb and gouge type of birdie fest. This is a little bit different. Still a birdie fest nonetheless. Fairways and greens are above average in size in terms of tour standards. Despite the fairways playing wider than most tour tracks, there are plenty of tight tree lines and thicker rough that force layups. A multitude of long par threes and par fours beyond 450 yards this week. It does allow for some dramatic and climatic finishes, like the Travelers. We've come to expect playoffs, one-stroke victories here, but again, that's a lot of birdie fests. You're going to come
Yeah.
down to play like last week. We saw a three-man playoff. That leaderboard was jam-packed all weekend long, all week long. It's going to be the same thing this week. There isn't much in terms of course form and correlation here. The winners emerged from a playoff by one stroke 16 times since 2000. So there goes that. But yeah, ho hum, straightforward. Anything to add here, Jake?
No, definitely nothing to add. Not the most exciting.
All right. Five guys on my card this week, Jake. What do you have?
I've got seven, but I'll be pretty quick with them.
All
Some of
right.
them
Well,
are ugly.
all right. Well, kick things off here, Jake.
Yep, I'm going to start my card here with Denny McCarthy.
Yep.
I got him at 30 to 1. I thought that number was going to tail down and it kind of stuck. So I'm okay with the 30. I kind of just bet it more from course history. Three top tens in his last three starts here. Birdie Fest, you need a guy who could pour in birdies in a hurry, and that is literally Denny McCarthy. He is the guy that I'm comfortable with over 15 feet putting. Other guys, it's more of a crapshoot. The approach has actually been really nice this year for Denny. The driving is what can get him into a lot of trouble, but he is rather accurate compared to Long. So I kind of like him at this event more so just plodding his way along, draining some birdies, and getting his first PGA Tour victory here at 30 to 1.
Yeah, seventh last year, 6 and 23, 6 and 22. And again, when I talked about the introduction to this course and event, I talked about it being different than most birdie fests and unique in that aspect. And it is the uniqueness of it being a birdie fest in short. I talked about it already, where typically these birdie fests are long drivers, things like that. This is a bit of a different birdie fest. You're gonna find a unique combination of guys who are pretty much short and accurate off the tee, who can also get birdies, but typically that's not their MO. Usually the short and accurate guys are grinders who are going to win, those tough, challenging golf courses. So this is an event of that nature, and Denny McCarthy fits that unique build and has done so with three top sevens over the last 3 years.
Yep.
All right, kicking things off, and my card is none other than Kevin Yu, if I can find what I'm talking about here. 40 to 1 is where I grabbed him. I think he's down to 35, 33, 30, somewhere in that range. But again, Birdie Fest, Kevin Yu shows up. He's played this event each of the last 2 seasons, 20th a year ago, 6th in 2023. Most recently played the Travelers Championship where he was 25th. Prior to that, third at Canada, missed the cut of the Charles Schwab, 50th at the PGA, fourth at Myrtle Beach, 29th at the Byron Nelson. He's sixth off the tour off the tee. He's eighth in ball striking, 10th in proximate hole from 150 to 175, 13th in par fives, 14th in birdie or better, right there, 18th green relations. The problem with Kevin Yu, right? Say it with me, guys. It's the putter, right? We talk about this all the time with these type of golfers. But in his last two starts, he was darn near basically even on the greens at the Travelers Championship, slightly gaining, but I think it was like 0.003. And then his event prior, at the Canadian Open, he gained 1.274 strokes putting per round. So again, if we see Kevin Yu with a strong putter this week, gaining or even around even, everything he has to offer, he's a birdie fest type of winner. He won on the fall series, which is all events like this, just easy golf courses where you have to shoot very low to do so. So yeah, and he happens to be one of my favorite golfers. So 40 to 1, Kevin Yu is where I'm kicking my card off.
Yeah, Nate, this is a week where I like to call it you bet your jabronis. Like you bet your guys that you've bet all year or you just like because it's just a birdie fest and like it's a crapshoot
It's a
really.
crapshoot.
Like so I especially love the Kevin Yu play because he's actually been putting well. He's gained in four of his last five starts with the flat stick, and that's usually his problem. And when you think birdie fest, you think Kevin Yu. So I think that's a really good start to the card.
Let's hope so.
Yep. My next play here, so this was actually my first click. I put this in the
Yep.
Discord on Sunday night. It's Emiliano Grillo at 65 to 1. He's actually still offered at 75 to 1, which I put it on a book where I can't cash out, but I love the 75 to 1. I almost double dipped, but I held back. He's been playing some really good golf. He's a very accurate off the tee golfer. His irons are incredible. And the putter is usually where he just goes astray in the around the green, but he's actually been really competent with that recently. In his last five starts, he has four top 25 finishes. That's including a T20 at the US Open. He had a really bad week last week where he lost an approach, which is just super uncharacteristic. So I'm doing my favorite thing. I'm throwing a bad round out for Emiliano Grillo, sticking to his recent form, which is stretched over a pretty decent amount of time here. And I think that this course sets up well for him. Also has a T2 here in 2022 and missed the cut in 2023.
Yeah, when was the last time he won? It was 2023 in Texas, again, at one of those birdie fest type of thing, and that's what you're
It,
getting.
yep,
Got to,
it was the Charles Schwab.
yep, Charles Schwab 2023, again, birdie fest, won there, can do it again. That's basically all there is to it, guys. These guys that we're betting this week, and it's the same thing. We're talking about the same stats, the same guys. Pick your poison because it's going to be a jam-packed leaderboard, unless last year Davis Thompson kind of walked away with things, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's an event where there could be legitimately 25 guys on Sunday who have a real chance of winning this thing. So
Yeah, similar to last week.
yes, and speaking of those guys, Andrew Putnam is my next play here. Same thing. He is 65 to 1 is where I grabbed him, but he's sixth on tour and putting on bent grass, and that's what I'm hoping the difference is this week is finding those guys who can get the extra birdie or two from a long putt to set themselves apart. And Andrew Putnam can do that. He's also sixth on tour around the green. He's seventh in hit fairways, eighth in par fours, 11th in green relations. He's 33rd in approximate hole from 75 to 150, 36th on approach, 38th in par fives. So he's, 48th on ball striking, fantastic ball striker, a great approach player, and a phenomenal putter. Competed last week, had a real chance to win that event as well. What he finished eighth last week at the Rocket Mortgage, sixth in Canada, 44th at Charles Schwab, 61st in Myrtle Beach, and 15th at the Byron Nelson. Course history here is not great. Won't go over that, but man, he has what you need this week. He can get some birdies. I mean, he's not typically a giant birdie fest type of performer. He's 95th on tour and birdie or better, but last week proved to me that he can compete these type of events. I believe early this season at one of the other one-off events he competed at as well. So hoping for it this week at 65 to 1 for a guy who over the years I've bet a ton of times as well.
Yeah, Nate, last week I thought it was going to be a bit of FOMO. On a Bombers
Yes.
track, we have Andrew Putnam, tied for the lead after Saturday. But again, that's a prime example of a guy who went to a golf course that was not suited for him and played lights out to finish top 10. And now this week, coming in on some great form is at a much better track for him. And I think that the number is huge on him. So I like the call.
Yeah, in terms of this field, 65 for I know Andrew Putnam isn't, winning left and right at the PGA Tour, but he's a veteran player of the tour, has been around for a very, no, I should say a very long time, a rather long time, and has been competitive, has, made a ton of cuts, a lot of top 25s and 15s along the way. So the win's coming. I think this could be the week.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's keep it rolling here, Jake.
Yep, so my third play here is Mark Hubbard. If you haven't gotten the hint here, I am going with a very standard cookie cutter type of golfer here that hits fairways, has good irons, and can make putts. And that's exactly what Mark Hubbard brings to the table week in and week out. T13 last week, I was very impressed with that. Also, some other highlights on the year. A T7 at the Myrtle Beach, which was supposed to be a birdie fest, wasn't as much of one, but also a T5 at the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, a T12 at the Corrales Punta Cana Championship. A lot of these known birdie fests that he's played well at. He has some solid course history here. A 32nd last year, a sixth in 2023, and then a T13 in 2022. Just good number on a guy who I think could win in this field.
Yeah, at this point, I feel like we're betting the fall series right now. These are names
Yeah.
that we all pepper in the fall series again and again, rightfully so, because they're all birdie fest in the fall series. Mark Hubbard is one of those guys who definitely has a fall series vibe to him. I know we talked about the fall series in the podcast last season, Jake, and we just always would say he feels a guy who wins a fall series event, and Mark Hubbard definitely feels like one of those. Good performance last week as well. Love the play.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna keep going with guys who played well last week. And Kevin Roy at 70 to 1 here on my card. He placed what was it, eighth last week at the Rocket Mortgage, 18th in Canada, 46th. Charles Schwab, 54th in Myrtle, and 15th at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson. Played this event last time in 2023 where he placed 31st. He is fourth on tour in ball striking, fifth in par four, 16th in green regulation. He's 30th in par fives, 43rd off the tee, 50th on approach. 59th in strokes gained putting bent grass, so he's a competent putter, very good approach player. Where's his birdie or better number? Great podcast. Did I already say this? I must be 60th in birdie or better. Jesus. All right, 71 there. Kevin Roy, great form as well. Again, that's it, guys. Like, I don't really want me to say any further than what we've been saying here. It's same build for me, right? Good ball strikers who can putt.
Yep. And he was the first one off my card. I played him in DFS last week. That was very helpful, even
Yes.
though Keith Mitchell screwed me. But
Yep.
anyway, Kevin
Yeah.
Roy, I love the play, and if I get a free play, it's going to go on him because I have FOMO.
Yeah. Keith Mitchell was one of those overlap guys for us, Jake, and
We don't need to
DFL
talk about
there.
that.
So, all right, what's next?
My next play here is going to be Lee Hodges. Sorry. Yep, Lee Hodges at 70 to 1. I thought the number was just kind of big for Lee Hodges, who kind of fits this bill perfectly.
Hmm.
Again, hits fairways, great iron player. He's been putting the ball much better. He has a lot of really good finishes this season. He has roughly five or six top 10 finishes for a guy like Lee Hodges in some solid events. I was impressed. On the season, he's 29th on approach. He's 25th in strokes gained total, 57th putting. 70 to 1 in this field just didn't really make sense for me with a guy with those underlying numbers this week. And I was like, why not?
Yeah. So if I didn't play Lee Hodges last week, I would have played him this week. Kind of just I would say, I mean, didn't really turn me off. I mean, he had a good performance last week as well. Just wasn't what I hoped for. I played him at like 110 last week. So 70 didn't really appeal to me this week. Again, but if I didn't play him last week, I definitely would have been this week because he popped my model for the rightful reasons, just as you talked about there. All right, next play for me. Keep it rolling. Victor Perez, currently seventh on tour in ball striking. He's eighth in green regulations. He's 21st in par fours, 23rd in hit fairways, 31st on approach, 50th off the tee, and 57th in strokes game putting on bent grass. Look at that, guys. A strong ball striker, approach player who can putt rather well. Um, let's see. He placed 51st last week. Prior to that, 19th at the U.S. Open, a big performance there by the Frenchman, and ninth at the RPC Canadian Open, so in some decent form as well. Again, fits the mold at 70-1 for Victor Perez.
Yeah, Nate, another good call out. He's another guy. I know we talked about this last week on the pod. I think it's worth bringing up again. Like these guys who translate from the DP World
Mm-hmm.
Tour, like he wasn't like a prominent like DP World Tour player. He qualified, and it feels like a win is coming for him. Like he's playing too well not to. I have another guy on my card who I feel similar about, which I'll get to, but I like the call on Perez. Again, it's a big number on a guy who's playing awesome golf.
There we go.
So my next play here is going to be Matt McCarty at 80-1. I've had this guy circled at this event for the longest time. This was honestly, I wanted a bigger number than 80, so I waited, but it's down to 75. I'll take what I can get there. He is a phenomenal putter who smacks fairways. Like that is the recipe for success at the John Deere. It'll come down to the irons, which in the middle of the season were popping, like perfect. When I had him circled, he went on a stretch of like six tournaments where he had four top 20 finishes. And I'm like, the win is going to come for him, which it did at the Black Desert Classic, which was a swing field event. I think it was his second on tour. He won. So he's won on the PGA Tour, which is, credible in some sense, but if those irons cooperate with McCarty, he has a really strong putter that can carry
Mm-hmm.
him in these birdie fests.
Yeah, he was one of those first off my list. He was on my short list of 10, 15 people I had to come in this week before I narrowed it down. So love to play. And again, one of the deep or the PGA Tour. And again, it was right after he graduated from the Corn Ferry Tour on the fall series. But yeah. All right, my final play this week is the statistical merchant Enrico Hoy. I really didn't want to do this one. I didn't have him there. I had another guy before I finalized my card. I'm like, you know what? I have to trust my model. The times that you overthink your model and you're like, no, he's not like Jonathan Vegas last year at the 3M Open. I did this. He popped, and I was like, there's not a chance in the world Jonathan Vegas wins this event. Moving on. Guess what? At like 120-1, he wins that event. Not gonna let it happen again. Rico Hoya 80-1 to finish off my card here. And the stats say this is a top five golfer in the world at this point. Again, this happens all the time with like a Keith Mitchell type of thing. But either way, Rico Hoy, um, first on tour in ball striking. That's number one of anyone on tour. He is third off the tee. He's fourth in green regulations. He's 13th in hit fairways, 15th approximate hole from 150 to 175, 26th in par fives, 35th on par fours, 46th birdie or better, 51st on approach, 76th in strokes gained putting bent grass, 89th approximate hole from 75 to 150, and 103rd in around the green. Missed the cut last week. 36th in Canada, 66th in Charles Schwab. Missed the cut the PGA. 7th in Myrtle Beach, 52nd in Byron Nelson, 12th in Punta Cana, 11th in Houston. Good performances there. 26 here a season ago. 80-1. The stats tell me Rico Hoy is the best golfer in the world. Who am I to go against the hard facts out there?
Yeah, it almost feels like he's the new Kevin Yu, where like if his putter cooperates, he drives and hits the ball so beautifully that he should
Yes.
win. And at a Birdie Fest, it's one of the first names that always comes to mind is Rico Hoey, Birdie Fest, first round leader, like that kind of stuff. So I like the call there. And trust the model, Nate. Trust the model.
It's tough. Again, this happens all the time where we have these statistical merchants who were like, these are not going to win. And eventually they do. The
Yeah.
stats are too good. Obviously, these aren't just made up stats. They're coming from direct play on the golf course. So at some point it's all gonna come together. And why not this weekend with an 80-1 next to his name?
Yeah, why not?
All
All right,
right.
so I'll rattle off my last two plays here rather quickly. The last one, Nate, we're going back to old times. But anyway, going back to my DP World Tour comment, I took Thriston Lawrence at 80-1. He is quietly
Yes.
in insane form. Like, if you're following the DP World Tour, in his last four starts, a T4 at the Sudal Open, missed the cut at the KLM, came over to the US Open where he finished T12, then last week finished T8. He is hitting the ball beautifully off the tee. His irons are popping, his putter is popping. I am not letting this slip through my hands. I'm happy to be on him at an 80 to 1 loser. I'm not happy to be on him if he wins. Kind of thing. Like if I wasn't on
Yes.
him,
Yep.
I
Yep.
would be upset. So it's more of a FOMO play, but I think he's a four-time winner on the DP World Tour. He knows how to get it done. I think that this is a really good opportunity for him and a guy who's in insane form.
Yeah, think back to the Open last year where he had the lead on the final day before, Xander kind of weighted the waters better than anyone and ran away with the event. Tristan Lawrence had a real chance on being a major champion. And he plays that type of golf. He's got a game that transcends any golf course. It could be the US or the Open in horrible weather, or it could be a birdie fest as he did last week and be in contention. He is a phenomenal golfer who is kind of stuck in that middle range of not quite there the PGA Tour, but really good on the DP World Tour. He's
Yep.
been around for quite a while now, and man, when he putts, he is quietly one of the better putters in the entire world of golf, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And then my last play, Nate, I led off with Bet Your Jabronis. I am going back to the well with Henrik Norlander, 130 to 1. It should come as no surprise. This was almost a guarantee. Fairway finder, iron guy, just make your putts. I'm not endorsing this play for anyone else. This is a personal play, but I needed to say it.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point, right? I mean, I'd not advertise, but I still have money on Tom Kim at 80 to 1, and there are a few dollars I'm ready to admit on Aaron Wise at 750 to 1, not the 1,000 to 1 as he was the week prior, but he did make the cut and he gained strokes putting, Aaron Wise, that is. So do with that information as you will, as I like to end most podcasts now that he's in the field. But yeah, got to play your guys. So in the background, if Aaron Wise were to win, I will send everyone 35 cents.
That's awesome.
All right, so that's it for the
The deer.
excitement of the John Deere Classic. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully, the Birdie Fest are fine with me as long as they're fun and competitive, like down to the final strokes. It's the ones that someone runs away with by 5, 6 strokes where I mean, last year was fine because we were on Davis Thompson, but the ones where a guy that no one is on runs away with it by 6 strokes and it makes it for a boring Sunday are the problems I have. But yeah, as long as we have a jam-packed leaderboard and a lot of chaos down the final, back nine, I'm fine with the Birdie Fest.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move overseas to the DP World Tour for the BMW International Open. This is the conclusion of the European swing, and it is taking place in Munich, Germany. The event once alternated between the Golf Club Gut, oh gosh, Laranoff, and the Golf Club Munchen Eichenrad
You
between
crushed it.
20. What was that?
You crushed it.
Oh, thank you. I sense the sarcasm. Between 2011 and the pandemic in 2020, but since has found a new home at the existing golf course or host of the Golf Club Muchen Eichenard for the fifth consecutive season this week. Once served as DP World Tour's lone stop in Germany each season to the Porsche European Open move to the country, but has since been replaced by the Austrian Alpine Open, I think it was called. So now we're back to a lone event in Germany. And for those on the DP World Tour, this is the final, I guess, technically next week would be, but it's a co-sanctioned event. But this is kind of one of the final stops before the Open Championship at Royal Portrush in 2 weeks' time. So the field this week is really good, actually, in comparison to, I guess they're scaling it to what the PGA is
Better.
offering at the John Deere Classic. This is a better field in relation to the respective tour. And leading that charge is a multitude of live golfers who are looking to come in here, win this event, and find themselves in the open field. So you have, well, one of those is Patrick Reed. I'm not sure if he's actually playing since whatever, but Patrick Reed will be here. I haven't, in all transparency, I haven't updated this since I put this information down on Saturday. So some of these names may be dated, but some of the live guys, you have Sergio Garcia, David Puig, and Martin Kamer, of course, looking to win, and then a win would get themselves into the Open Championship here in a few weeks. European Ryder Cup captain Luke Donald will be in attendance this week as well. And then, of course, a strong field of German golfers look to win on home soil. You have Nikolai van Dellenhausen, the lone German to win the DP World Tour this season at the, again, Austrian Alpine Open, joined by the likes of Marcel Siem, Kamer, Matty Schmid, Freddie Schut, Yannick Paul, Maximilian Kiefer, and Marcel Schneider as German golfers looking to claim victory on home soil. Of course, you still have your Your regulars, the DP World Tour, this is a very strong field. Usually, I shouldn't say usually, but at this point in the season, before the back nine swing here in a few weeks, you're kind of hit or miss in terms of fields. Like last week wasn't the best field, in the week prior as well. But you have all the big names, the DP World Tour, the Christopher Raitons, Martin Kuvra, the Eugene Shikara, Hotong Lee, Laurie Cantor, Kaito Nakajima, Connor Seam, Marco Page, Richard Mansell, Ewan Ferguson. The list goes on and on. Speaking of Ferguson, defending champion, claiming victory here by a stroke over David McLuzy and Jordan Smith by 2 strokes, excuse me. Other former winners, you have Hotong Lee in 2022, Andrea Pavon in 2019, Pablo Larisball in 15 and 11, Fabrizio Zanotti in 14, David Horsey in 2010, and Kamer himself in 2009. So about the host this week, plays a par 72 at 7,284 yards. Designed by Kurt Rosknecht and opened in 1989 as a flat tree-lined course with greens that run quite slowly. There are 2 streams and ponds that run throughout this course. With the ponds in play, there are also 2 half-island greens and 90 sand bunkers throughout. Water's on play on 10 holes. As the course has matured, so have the trees, which have helped force the scoring to lower. A 20 under par score would have been the norm a few years back, but since 2022, in the first play in 2009, 2022 is the first time since 2009, excuse me, that the final winning score is lower than, or it's technically higher than minus 19. Hotong and Peters both carded scores of minus 20, minus 22 before heading to a playoff in 2022. A slight renovation took place here prior to 2019. Majority of the changes coming as modification to all of the greens. The course too was lengthened during the renovation, which didn't make much of a scoring difference between the two planes of 2017 and 2019 at the time. Previously mentioned, with the maturing of the trees, this course was once a bomber's paradise, but has since turned to reward the straight hitters off the tee. The difference maker here will be putting on these slow greens. We talk about the stimp meter, and usually it's this course is a 14 on the stimp meter. Putting is going to be very, very challenging. But when you put a very slow green in front of a professional who's used to putting on 12, 13, 14s, it can really throw things off. So those who can find the pace of these slow greens will be the difference maker this week. Jake, anything to add here about my mixed smash of I was not that wasn't my best bit of podcasting there. That is for sure.
No, I think you covered it well, and I think this event is definitely more exciting than the PGA Tour. So I'm excited to watch this more than the Deere.
There we go. There we go. If you're a morning person, you get to watch this before you take on your day, whatever Thursday through Sunday. I do like that when I can wake up early on Sunday and catch some golf instead of waiting for whatever the PGA Tour event is of the day.
Right.
All right. I think we have the same amount of people on our card this week here, Jake. I have 5.
Yep, same here.
All right, I guess I'll kick this off then. I'm going to go with Francisco Laporte at 45 to 1 to open my card. Insane form coming to this week across the last month or so. Most recently, 10th last week at the Italian Open. Prior to that, 7th at the KLM, 27 in Austria, and 11th at the Sudal Open. Currently 4th on tour in bogey avoidance, 7th in par 4s, and scrambling, 14th tee to green, 17th accuracy, 42nd green regulations, 52nd birdie or better, 58th putting. Played this event 3 times in the last 4 seasons, missed the cut a season ago. Placed 36 in 2022 and missed the cut in 2021. Just the form. The form is really good in Laporte at 45 to 1. Again, I talked about Jake or to Jake before I started this podcast. I had a lot of toss ups. You know, in what we do here, I usually like tier my card with, a guy in this range, that range, whatever, to get to the 5 or 6 I play that week. And there were 2 here, and I'm not sure if you were on them, but Jaden Shapper was the other guy. I was debating between Francisco Laporta and Shapper. I found the best number at Laporta at 45, so that's why I went with him. So if Shapper wins this week, I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah, it's a big shout out to Patrick Reed and David Puig for being in this field
Yes,
because there is so much meat on the bone in this field. Like I could have gone with anyone, right? Like it felt like Laporta again, like you went
at
over it.
45 in that form, yeah.
It's a huge number in great form, and yeah, Patrick Reed coming off of a win, probably the class of this field. Uh, what if he beats me at 12 to 1? Fine, so be it. Like I'm seeing some much juicier numbers on guys who I know are more comfortable playing on the DP World Tour. So I was licking my chops and making my card, and Laporta again, 45 to 1 to start your card is huge.
Yeah, and then you have Reed headline the field, and rightfully so, right? But he's coming from Dallas, Texas on a Sunday, getting to Germany to play around Thursday, which in relation would be late on Wednesday typically. So you have a 3 day turnaround, 2 days. It's difficult to do. Like you don't see a lot
Yeah,
of people have success bouncing between. That's what I don't like about like the DP World Tour guys trying to play both sides of it, and trying to get
yeah.
enough
Can't
starts
get
in the DP
comfortable.
to like maintain their card, but while or vice versa, it's super hard to do. We saw it with Sanjay M 2 years ago when he was in insane form, like lights out, went to Korea to play a few home events and came back and was a shell of himself. So it's so hard to do. So again, having someone like Reed in this field is great for us in the betting aspect because we're getting a lot of bigger numbers. And I don't see. I mean, I shouldn't say this, but I don't think Reed's in contention this week.
Yeah, it's our famous last words.
Yeah, shouldn't have said that, but here we are.
All right, so I led my card off with Chikara at 35 to 1. I I think he's an all-star. Like I really do. Like he went through a little bit of a lull after the win. I mean, he had a fourth in China and then an 11th in the Hainan Classic, but then struggled a little bit, missed the cut of the PGA Championship, was trying to getting his bearings back. He's got his bearings back. Like last week was incredible. From what I saw from him, he played some awesome golf. I expected him to be in the 25 range. To get him at 35, I was really happy. He had an awesome Friday. He shot a 64 on Friday and then a 66 on Saturday. If he was just able to clean up that Sunday round, he would have been much closer to contending. I think he's an all-star. I think that he has potential to be the first duplicate winner on the DP World Tour. And based on my card, I'm hoping that someone duplicates because I have a lot of winners on the card already.
Yeah, he is the cream of the crop. He's one of the top five talents on the DP World Tour at this time. I'm assuming there's another guy who won recently on your card as well, just because the numbers are so good on these guys at this point. But yeah, Shakara, phenomenal talent, trying to play himself on the PGA Tour after leaving Live a few seasons or last year, wherever it was. Good story. And yeah, 25 years old, still a ton of golf ahead of him. But yeah, great start.
And maybe some added incentive with some live guys in the field. Stick it to him. Stick them to him, Eugenio.
All right, I'm going to roll in my next play here, and I had to go with at least one German. It's a guy I've played a few times this season. It's Marcel Schneider at 50 to 1. Uh, again, stats wise, 11th in par fours and bogey avoidance. He's 19th green regulations, 25th tee to green, 20th scrambling, 37th putting. Uh, in other words, yeah, 37th putting, 37th sand save, 39th birdie or better, 56th driving accuracy. So, in other words, he ranks 56th or better in each of the 9 statistical categories consideration this week. Also in great form. Seventh last week in Italy. He plays 65th at KLM and second at the Austrian Alpine Open. Missed the cut here a season ago, but 14th in 2023, 15th in 2022, and made the cut in 2021. Some good course history, home soil, playing the best golf of his career at this point. Stats are phenomenal for Marcel. Let's bring it home. Let's do it.
Yeah, Nate, I felt the same way. Had to have a German. I did a coin flip between him and the guy that I will talk about later, but we have our Germans covered. I
Uh,
love the call out. I think Schneider's in great form. Hasn't won on the DP World Tour yet, but it looks like it's coming.
yeah, you made an allusion there already to guys who've won already on the DP World Tour. So I'm assuming I know what German you're going with because again, it was a call. The number on him was phenomenal as well. Like
Right.
this
It,
card was so hard to construct. It really was.
yeah, yeah.
And the DP, I don't know if I should think this way, but like dual winners happen so rarely on the DP World Tour that if there are two guys super close, I usually go for the guy who hasn't won yet because dual winners are so rare on the DP World Tour. I mean, even on the PGA Tour, unless you're like a
Yeah.
premier talent. So, yeah, that's kind of my thought. Maybe I shouldn't think this way, but so be it. It's worked out so far this year. Well, besides being not hitting much, but again, there hasn't been a dual winner yet.
Yeah, no, it is the right thought process, but hopefully this week for me, it'll change. Okay, going with another previous winner. I've been on him all season, should come as no surprise. It's Martin Kuvra.
Yep.
I opened at 40 to 1. I thought that number was stupid. I immediate click. His recent form is a fifth, a win, a miscut, a T8, and then a second place last week where he punted the tournament away. I didn't love that he punted the tournament away, right? He went 4 over on his last 5 holes on Thursday, lost it completely after 5 or 6 holes on Sunday, but he's won already. The ball striking is incredible. He's been putting the ball really well. He's seventh in stroke average on the DP World Tour. He's 15th in putts per green in regulation, 16th in greens in regulation. Just the stats are screaming that Kuvra, again, another all-star on the DP World Tour and rising at 40 to 1, I couldn't pass up.
Yeah, same thing. He popped my model. I saw the 40 to 1, thought about it, didn't pull the trigger. But think about this, like to me, there are like five like bona fide stars in the DP World Tour, maybe even less. One of those is Rasmus Njergaard Peterson, who I absolutely adore, but he's 18-1 in this field. And
Right.
Kuvra is 40, Shakara is 45, like 35, whatever it is. Like talent wise, they're pretty close. They're pretty
Yeah.
close. Rasmus Njergaard Peterson has been doing it for a little bit longer, and maybe that's why his number's at 18. But yeah, that's again
You're
just
getting
great
double.
value. Great value.
Yeah.
All right, next play for me. Here is a what would be my hopes in a duplicate winner, and it's Christopher Raiton at 66-1. Yes, 66-1.
Yeah.
Insane number. Hasn't missed a cut since the poor Singapore Classic in March. In that time span, 31 in India, 69th in China, second in the Hainan, 33rd in Turkey, won the Sudo Open, second in Austria, 13th at the KLM, and 46th last week. He's seventh on tour in par fours. He's 11th in birdie or better, 29th in sand, 39th tee to green, 47th accuracy, 48th putting, 50th bogey avoidance, 54th green regulations. Making his tournament debut this week, but again, he's one of those probably top five talents in my opinion, at least in terms of like this is all relative to, I guess, future, right? He's going to be on the PGA Tour. He is one of those five young talents, the DP World Tour, where I have belief could win on the DP or on the PGA Tour at some point. Yeah, 66 was just a stupid number, and I saw it and I didn't even think twice.
Yeah. He is the first one off my card. I was on him last week. I'm very upset that he is not on my card this week. He is also just a nuclear putter, which could be so helpful for him in a tournament like this. Again, I know I said on the PGA Tour if I had a free play, if I get another free play that I could use, it's going to go right on Ryerson because the FOMO, I was on him last week. He kind of laid a dud, but he's been playing some insane golf. Insane golf.
There we go.
Yep. So my next play here is the German that I was just alluding to earlier. It's Nikolai von Dellinghausen. I probably butchered that name, but won a couple weeks ago at the Austrian Alpine Open. After the DP World Tour guys win, I kind of expect them to falter off. Complete opposite case
No,
for
not
him.
yep.
T7 at the KLM, T5 at the Italian Open, where he just kept his run of form going. And that run of form has included some absolutely incredible putting. He's been hitting the ball extremely nicely with his irons. The off the tee is what concerns me with him. But again, at 55-1, I'm getting a winner, a German winner on a guy that on home soil. I flipped a coin between him and
Neither.
Schneider, and I just landed on him. I mean, 19th in strokes average, 26th in sand save, 69th in putts per green in regulation, 29th in greens in regulation percentage. Just peppering good stats with a great number.
Yeah, when he won, he kind of came out of like nowhere, right? He wasn't like on everyone's radar. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a talent, right? But then since then has just gone nuclear since the win and has been in contention each and every week.
Yep.
Fantastic player, great number, home soil. Love the play. All right, next play for me is Daniel Hillier at 90-1. Missed the cut here a season ago, but placed third in 2023 at the same exact golf course and event. He too has missed just one cut dating back to the Ras Al Khaimah Championship in January. Time span not insane, performances, but 24th at Bahrain, 25th at Qatar, 36th in Singapore, 40th in India, 36th in China, 9th in Hainan, miscut the Sadal, 37th in Austria, 26th at KLM, and 41st a week ago. 11th in tour and par fours. He's 14th birdie or better, 23rd in putting, 30th in green relations. He's 49th tee to green. List goes on there. Uh, but I've noticed a bit of a relationship between this event and the I shouldn't just say New Zealand golfers, but like Oceania golfers, because David Migluzzi was a T2 last year from Austria. You have Hillier, who was a T3 here in 2023, and then Ryan Fox was a third here in 2022. So maybe there's some kind of correlation between that. Maybe I'm reaching, but man, Daniel Hillier 90-1 hasn't had like a premier performance this season where you're like, oh, he was a runner up here, a third here, just a lot of consistency. Fits the golf course well, statistically speaking, and was third here just 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, Nate, he's steamed all the way down to 75-1. And again, I look at the underlying stats and it looks like he's playing much better than his results show. And I think the number you got is incredible on him. So good look there.
Well, if he's down to 75, he's probably going to be the most tipped chart then, I'm assuming, but
You never
we'll see
know.
what happens.
You never know. Okay, so my fourth play here, I'm going with this guy seemed like a fan favorite for the longest time. It's Angel Ayora at 66-1. huge number. Like, I was shocked to see that number available. He hasn't won on the DP World Tour yet, so I'm kind of hedging myself here. Also, in that sense, he drives the ball incredibly. He's extremely long off the tee. He's been very accurate too. He's 11th in driving distance. He's 68th in driving accuracy. So that combo could be really deadly for him. 91st in putts per green in regulation. Not my favorite, but he's 22nd in stroke average. Coming in on some great form here. An 11th in Soudal. Missed the cut at the Alpine Open. Then a T19 at KLM and then a T7 at the Italian Open. Just another young talent who's playing good golf at a huge number. I'm taking my chance.
Yeah, he was on insane heater to start the DP World Tour season between Australia and then the early stops in the desert there. Split some time between this and the Hotel Planner Tour. Again, super young, but he has the game. He's going to win the DP World Tour at some point in his career. There's no doubt about that. So why not start now?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going long to finish off my card. This is a guy that you played a few times. Kazuma Kobori, 200 to 1. Again, New Zealand golfer, so we're going back to the Oceania relationship between this and the golf course here. But man, he is second in tour in accuracy, is eighth in scrambling, 15th in par fours, 20th in putting, 21st in bogey avoidance, 75th in birdie or better, 76 tee to green. Most recently, 16th last week in Italy. Prior to that, missed back-to-back cuts at the KLM and the Austrian Alpine Open, but was 25th at Sudal, 52nd at Turkey, 45th Hainan, 20th China, and 9th in Singapore. Making his tournament debut this week. A long shot, big number. Again, a guy who, again, really new to the tour. I think this is his first year on the tour, but huge number. Worth a shot, in my opinion. The stats say something. A few top 25s recently across the board. Can putt really well, scrambles, finds a fairway on almost every shot. Decent tee to green, at least slightly above average there. So take a stab in the dark at 200 to 1.
Yeah, he's almost like Andrew Putnam if I had to give him a PGA like analysis or like comp in a sense, because he's hits every freaking fairway. He could drain putts with ease. It just comes down to the irons, which he's actually kind of they were bad, but they're getting better. They're
Mm-hmm.
still negative. If he spikes with those irons, I could totally see him winning a tournament like this. So I think that's a good shout at really big number.
Yeah, this will be we've seen a 200 to 1 winner in the DP World Tour already this season, so we can do another one.
Yeah, run
I'm
it
not
back.
sure where Van Housenha was at when he won either.
Oh, it was a big number, I
It
think.
was definitely big, and I'm alluding to Ashan Wu in China there, who
Yeah.
was 200 to 1. But yeah, there's been some big numbers.
Yeah. All right, I'm rounding my card out here. If you haven't gotten the hint here, I'm going with guys who are just in insane form at huge numbers. It's Dan Bradbury, 100 to 1. It hasn't been a long stretch of good golf, but it's two really good tournaments in a row, a T7 at the KLM, a T3 last week in Italy where he gained with the putter like significantly. If you know Bradbury, again, fits the mold, hits fairways, great with his irons. The putter is in God's hands, but it looks like after last week, if he could build off of that, I'm happy to take my shot on him. He's 14th in greens in regulation. If he just drained putts, he should win tournaments. Like, it's that simple. And he won last year at the FedEx Open de France. So a DP World Tour winner two times, 100 to 1 in good form. I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, he's giving me like the Joe Dean vibes of last
Yeah.
year, where constantly every single week, like 190 somewhere in that range with some fantastic finishes. So yeah, I mean, great week last week. Maybe this is the week he puts it together. And again, 100 to 1 is a big number, no matter how you shake at it.
Yep.
All right, so that rounds out the DP World Tour side of things. Jake, we let's see. Next week we'll have two PGA Tour events to talk about, right? With the Scottish and the Yisco, and then we go to the Open and the Barracuda. The DP World Tour, of course, will be off for both those weeks. Technically, co-sanctioned with Scottish next week, and then of course co-sanctioned with the Open. So we'll be off for a few weeks on the DP World Tour. The fourth of fifth LPGA majors is next week with the Monday Evian Championship as well. Yeah, a lot of golf yet to happen. I know the PGA Tour season's winding down. It'll be done before we know it. But yeah, the LPGA still has two majors. We have Corn Fair Hotel Planner Stores, Hotel Planner Tour. Content coming to you left and right with Andrew and all that. So guys, a lot of stuff happening out of the rough. And Yeah, Jake will be finding on social media.
Yep, you can find me at DJ Freeman on Twitter. Both my outright cards are posted there, so be sure to check those out. Also, reach out to Nate or myself to get in our Discord. Completely free to join. No hidden paywalls once you're in there. A lot of great free content, golf, NASCAR with Devin and Cody, exclusive content between Nate and myself, the community wager tracker, which is honestly so fun to track as the week goes on. And then at the end of the week, hopefully, we're congratulating a ton of people on winners. But it's a lot of fun. Nate puts a lot of good hard work into that, and it's really cool to see the spread of who's on who and reasoning behind it because there's a lot of great dialogue. Like, why did you think this guy was going to be good this week? And 24 hours a day, chat is going, completely free, great resource to have at your fingertips.
On top of that, why not just come out and hang out with Jake and I? We're pretty cool people, I think. So yeah, just come chat with us. Come on.
Yep.
All right. You can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKF Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media at We Know Fantasy. Be sure to visit We Know Fantasy.com for some more fantasy sports content. Until next time.